Alfred. Hello, Esme. I hope you guys enjoyed the different way to start the session.
Yeah, that's great. How are you, Eric?
I'm good on yourself, Alfred.
I'm all
Just
right, thanks.
getting everything set up here. And we are live on YouTube. Let me just copy this link over to ECR.
Hello, Esmo, how are you?
Hi guys, I'm well and you?
Oh, all right, thanks.
Okay.
How's Montana?
Quiet on this side, no complaints.
Oh, that's good.
All right, everyone. So welcome to the CPT session for today. We are a little bit early. So yeah, let's have a look and see where we can go from this. So one of the things I've decided to do today, Alfred and Esme, and to our students out there, what I've decided, I'm going to actually just talk about the PowerPoint assignment that has just recently happened. So we can also then have a look at where there were some issues, some where people made some errors, just so that they can go forward for the portfolio and how to make sure that they are doing the next session very correct. Okay, so to our students out there in Zoom, on YouTube, I'm just going to go quickly over the rubric, just showed where a lot of the common errors were in the assignments, some do's and don'ts that happened in the assignments. And then I'm also going to show you one of my distance learning students assignments. And I'm actually going to show you how they went about creating it, because it was a very, very impressive PowerPoint. For me to turn around and scratch my head for a good few minutes to work out how it was done, you must understand there was a lot of work involved. So if we have a look here at the rubric, all right, thankfully, a lot of everyone had set up their information sequence exactly how we wanted it. So as far as my knowledge goes, everyone did fairly well in that. Alfred and Esme, I don't know if you wish to agree or disagree on that one from the marking that you guys may have done.
I do
Yes,
agree,
that one.
Warwick. Actually, the majority couldn't, sequenced some of the information, but well, I can say only a few managed to be very exemplary in terms of our expectations.
Agreed.
And which is quite great. I mean, especially, but I just like your approach now to give them some tips in terms of improving this task in preparation for the portfolio, because obviously PowerPoint is going to be featured in the portfolio as well.
Correct. All right. Esme, so you also agreed on that everyone had their information sequence fairly on point.
Yes, mine went very well on Montana's side.
All right. Now the next section we're looking at here is the graphics, sounds, and animations. So obviously we did say to the students that we weren't going to penalize them if they didn't have any sound, because for yourself and Alfred, you guys just marked 40. I had the bulk, and when you hear the same clapping sound over and over again, it becomes very headache material. So we didn't impact anyone negatively for not having sound. But what was happening that I found a lot is that students didn't make use of any transitions or animations, and that is where they found a lot of found where they lost a lot of marks there. I don't know if you guys found the same system or same thing.
Yes, some of the students lost marks with regard to animation because they never effected it. And interestingly, some for waterfall included the sound. So for me, actually, it was here and there, and sometimes I ended up getting confused if to consider sound. I mean, and also to those who did not consider sound, I don't know. I think I still need to revisit and check with regard to that, because some did include.
Yes, I had on Montana's side, I had quite impressive presentations, and then they forgot to put in the animations. So unfortunately, yes, there was a negative throughout the
that's
marking.
where I found a lot of people suffered with that as well. But now going down to the third option at font choice and formatting. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to skip the spelling and grammar because I felt like a lot of people were able to do that quite effectively. So for me, the area where students lost a lot of marks were here in the graphics, the font, the slide notes big time, and the referencing. So students, when we talk about making use of fonts, remember in one of the sessions I said that if you think your font is fine, step back from your computer, take 2 or 3 steps back and go, can I read that clearly? No. Well, let me make it bigger. Can I read it clearly? Yes. Okay, cool. It's fine. If there was a font color issue, I don't know about yourself and Alfred Ismay, but I found a lot of people used fonts with a similar color to the background, so it kind of like blended in.
I had many students use different fonts in different sizes and in different colors, so it seemed a bit chaotic. But I did comment on all of those and told them rather use the same size, use the same type of format throughout. There's nothing wrong with making the title bigger, but there needs to be some consistency.
Agreed. Now, the slide notes is also where we had a bit of a challenge. So when I show you the student's PowerPoint, I'm also going to show you about the slide notes again, just as a refresher. But I actually had one student, I think it was a distance learning student, if I recall correctly. They didn't add slide notes, but they did a voiceover. And unfortunately, I can't fault them for that because they've done this slide notes in a different format, but it's still enhanced the presentation. So that was a very, very clever choice by that student. And then the last area was referencing. Students, please, 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 we ask you on our knees, go and use the referencing guide. You cannot quote Wikipedia as a credible reference source. You can't say my personal information as a credible reference source. And you can't just reference google.co.za and not give the full link. That is where a lot of people also faltered with their marks. So please, we ask you, please can you go and read your referencing guide to make sure that you are headed in the right direction for that. And then last thing, Alfred, Esme, I know you guys also had this, but when we ask you guys to submit a PowerPoint presentation for your assignment, we ask you to submit it as a PowerPoint. Please, PDFs were not acceptable. We sent out messages to tell you to make sure that you submit it in the right format. I had students submitting as PDFs. I had students submitting as Microsoft Word documents. So I don't know if they just didn't understand or were just too scared to make use of PowerPoint, but submitting your assignment in the incorrect format has a big negative impact on you. So please, can you just remember this going forward for your portfolio? When we ask you to submit a PowerPoint, please submit it as a PowerPoint. If we ask you to submit Excel, please submit it as an Excel document, not a PDF.
Sure.
Because when it comes down to PDFs, I'll just use the PDFs, students who made use of PDFs. We can't mark you on animations. We can't mark you on transitions. We can't mark you on slide notes because that information does not pull through. So you guys need to be very careful. Make sure that you look at the rubric and understand it. Is there anything else that you and Esme want to add on, Alfred, before I move on to show this presentation from a distance learning student?
Well, you've said it all. Thank you so much, Warwick.
Okay.
Agreed. I just want, please show the students the slide notes because I wonder if 2 of my students got that right. So that's a big concern from our side.
Okay, I'll definitely show that. All right, so let us look here at the student here. This distance learning student, Dominique Marsh, I did reach out to the student to ask if we can use the presentation just due to the fact that from what I can remember, this was the highest, if not the highest mark that I've marked for the PowerPoint presentation. All right, so this is why I said it was done very well. All right, so Alfred, Esme, you can see the presentation nice and clearly?
Yes, I can see it nice and clear.
Yes, me as well.
All right, so to our students, this is what was happening with this presentation. So this student, Domenico, decided to go do a little bit of research on YouTube to learn how to do some of this stuff. And that was the purpose of this PowerPoint presentation, is for you as a student to go and have fun with your presentation. So I'm going to show you just 1 or 2 slides of this, and I'm actually going to show you how Domenico went and actually made this presentation. I'm not going to do it to the same extent that he's done it in, but I'm going to do it as close as possible. But I'm not going to add information in the presentation. So with Domenico, instead of doing one presentation with multiple slides, he decided to build his presentation into 1 slide. So as you can see now, as I click to the next slide, it pulls out. And this is a very effective way of gaining your reader's attention. And this is one of the ways to make use of PowerPoint rather than the traditional method. It just stands out. It really is a mind-blowing way to present. Alfred and Ismay, I know I sent this to you guys as well. What do you guys think of it?
I was thoroughly impressed. This is the best presentation I've seen in a very, very long time.
And Alfred, do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay.
Actually, it was done explicitly well and quite creative and portable, since it is on 1 slide.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great.
Okay. So now, if Domenico, please forgive me here. I love the assignment, but if there was one thing I could potentially change is, can you see how the tabs are being pulled from left to right? Personally, I would have rather done it the other way, as that's a more natural way of reading. So when I show you how Domenico went about doing this, I'm actually going to do the example from pulling from right to left. Okay, so let's step out of this here and make use of a new slide. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear everything that is there. So the first way Domenico, I'm assuming, went about doing this is under the Insert tab, we come here to our Shapes option. On the Shapes, we make use of the rectangle shape. So basically, I'm just going to draw a rectangle that covers pretty much the whole slide like this. Okay. So that there's the first step. All right. So the next step is going to our Insert tab and getting a text box. Just draw it off here in the gray area. And I'm going to actually title that A. I'm going to just make the text box smaller. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to increase the size of the font to about 54. Just increase the size of the text box. So now we've got somewhat of a box and a sheet. But our next step is obviously to make sure that the A is the same color as the square. So we need to just make sure we shape full. I'm going to use the eyedropper so it's the same color. Okay. And what I do is I select the text box, and holding the control button on my keyboard, I'm going to select the big shape. All right. So now we can see that both are selected. Next step I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my mouse, and up here on this new scroll bar, we can see the group option. I'm going to select group. So now we can see if I drag and move it, it all moves as one object. So that's how you go about creating your first pull tab. The next step I'll do is I'm going to duplicate it. So if I select the object and I go Control D, I've now made it an exact copy. But now we've got 2 A tabs and they're covering each other. So the best thing you can do is you can select the single object like I've done. You can move it up. All right. I'm going to change that A to a B. And I'm also going to change the color to a yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing with that blue block. I'm going to also just take away that outline. All right. So we've got 2 tabs. I'm not going to do any more than this. As I said, I'm just going to show you briefly how to do this. So once I've got our 2 tabs here, I'm going to select everything and I'm going to take it off the page just so that the A and B are showing. So if I go into presentation mode, we can clearly see our A and B tab here. All right. So what I want is I want to now select the A block. So I've selected it. All right. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say bring to front. So it's just a little bit easier to work with. So now under our animation pane, right, or our animation ribbon, we generally see these options for entrance, emphasis, and exit. So those are very great when you want to animate a little bit some objects and you just want them to appear, pop out, spin. But if we scroll further down, we've got this section here called motion paths. So these motion paths are very, very powerful inside of PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm just going to come down here to more motion paths and I want to find my sequence. So what this shows is if it's got a green dot, that's where it's starting. If it's got a red dot, that's where it ends. So I'm obviously going to be selecting the left option. What, Alfred?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
great.
as you saw there, just with a slight click, oh, that went a little bit too far, you can see we're starting to develop that pull sequence. Okay. So now what I can do is, because I've still got the animation tab selected, so I see the entire animation ribbon, we can actually see the line path. So now I want to extend that. I just select that red dot and I drag it so that the blue goes all the way off the page. Okay. Oh, wait, it's not off the page. I didn't scroll far enough. So there. All right. So now we've got our endpoint that we've created and we've got our starting point. So let's have a look here. If I click, we've got the basis, but it's a little bit too quick. Okay, guys, I do apologize. I am going very in-depth into some technical stuff, but you know what? It's PowerPoint. Have fun. That is the purpose of PowerPoint and the PowerPoint assignments. So under the animation tab, in this advanced animation ribbon group, we've got this option here called animation pane. If I select that, it shows me exactly what animations are being applied to this slide. So what I'm going to do is, if I come to this drop-down arrow here, I'm going to select that. Over here, we've got this effect option. So if we select that effects option, okay, I'm going to leave these general settings as they are, but I want to come to this timing option. What it means here by duration is how long from start to finish that animation is going to go. So 2 seconds went very quickly. It can be a little bit distracting. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to change it to 5 seconds. So it's slightly longer. It looks more smooth and more fluid. Because remember, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that it looks good. So yes, 5 seconds is a long time, but it enhances the presentation. It makes it look smooth. It makes it look more natural. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to work on the B tab. So I've selected the B tab, but it's at the back. So I'm going to right click, bring to front. So now, and this is where it can be really cool. All right. Ooh, let's see if I can get this right again. I played around with this the other day. Okay, generally we can select this here where it says animation painter, but that's being a little bit painful with me today. So I can't quite get that one working. All right, so all I'm going to do then again is drop down, more motion paths, and I'm going to select the same option again. Okay, so select. So all I'm going to do is grab that red dot and follow the same line as the previous one, which would ended there. So it goes off this page. Okay, so if I select my animation pane, we can already see here that group 5, which is the blue block, and group 6, the yellow block, are going to be going after each other based on these clicking options. But also, again, we just need to go to our effects option, timing, and change that to 5 seconds. All right, so it creates that more smooth, fluid look. All right, so if you now want to add text or add information or add images, this is where you can start working and you can start pasting everything into your group. So you can put more information and regroup everything to create that pull tab effect. So this is a very unique way of looking at a presentation, and it works really, really great. It's really eye-catching, and it will enhance your presentation. Definitely make use of YouTube to look at how to do different stuff in PowerPoint. You can learn so much in YouTube. All right, there's a lot of information in there in YouTube where you can enhance your skills. All right. So that was just the basics of me showing you how to make use of your animations, such as your motion parts. So Esme asked me earlier just to remind students where your slide notes go. So if you go, let's just get this back to a normal looking view. Okay, so something like that. All right. So this is our normal slide. Now, when we talk about a slide note, can you see this option that says notes down here at the bottom? If we select that, this new little block down here, it says click to add notes. That is where you need to add your slide notes. So what we were asking for you is to write a script so that when we see the slide, we can understand what's going on, even if there was very little or minimal writing. It helped us understand what you as the speaker to the parents would have been explaining about the open day for the school. Does that make sense to everyone? Seeing that the Q&A and the chats are very, very quiet, which is fine. But yeah, that there is some ideas and tips for your portfolio. So what we will be doing is closer towards the time for the portfolio. So the portfolio is due in October. So around August, what I'll do is I'm going to do another live session with both the contact and distance learning students just to go over the portfolio and how best or what best practices to use for that session. Whilst we're still running, we've still got a few minutes left. Is there anything that anybody would like me to show them how to do or what to do in PowerPoint? So if there's an idea that you've been playing with, but you've never really thought about how to do it, please let me know and let's see if we can figure it out together in this live session. Alfred and Esme, is there anything that you guys would ever think of that you might want to see if PowerPoint can do?
I can't really think of something at the moment. You've showed them the transitions as well. No, not really something I can think of.
Okay. All right. So I think for next live session, what we'll do is we might just cover the basics of Excel, because that's going to be the next section that they're going to be going in. I see that the students haven't asked any questions. So I'm assuming that everything is understandable. I'm hoping so. If there's anything that you guys want to know or learn about, please just drop me a mail or message on ECR. You know I'm here to help. You know I'm happy to help. So please feel free to do so. Just so that you as students are aware, we have finished marking your PowerPoint assignments. We will be sending them through for moderation. I'll be setting that up to go out tomorrow. So I'm hoping, if we're lucky, by end of the week, if not end of next week for definite, that moderation will be done and signed off. Okay. Alfred, Esme, is there anything that you want to add or contribute before we wrap the session up?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you so much,
Warwick.
Okay. All right. So to all our students out there, thank you very much for joining us. Please feel free for, if there's any questions you want to ask about PowerPoint or Word or Excel, please feel free to drop us a mail on ECR. That's what we're here for. All right. So guys, go out, enjoy your Tuesday and just enjoy it. Have fun. Not that we can go anywhere, but just try to have that fun. All right. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Esme. And thank you to all of our students out there.
It's a pleasure, Warwick. Have a wonderful day further.
You too, Alfred.
Thanks, Warwick. Bye, Alfred.
Bye, Esme.